Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Salaam Britain. I hope you're enjoying today's show so far, and it's time for us to introduce our very special guests.
Yes, and we're so fortunate because we have two guests. And before we do that, I just was wondering, this Ramadan, of course, we are always feeling, a bit thirsty, tired, hungry, I mean, this Ramadan for me has been a little bit more on the thirsty side, but what about for yourself?
Well, I think it's definitely the thirst. And speaking of quenching the thirst, our next guest will enlighten us with the best drink for our health, not only during the month of Ramadan, but all year round.
Yes, and we're talking about the miracle of Zamzam water, a gift that Martin Cottingham and Dr. Haider Tahir work tirelessly to provide in Somalia.
Martin is the head of communication at Zamzam's Foundation, an organisation committed to addressing humanitarian needs of the Somalian people. The foundation was founded in 1992 and has been helping over 2 million people each year, providing support through water, health, education and peace building.
Yes, and so Dr. Tahir is a trustee of the Zamzam Foundation UK, who is deeply involved in the organisation's mission to improve the lives of people affected by climate change and conflict. So let's welcome them and say Assalamu alaikum to the brothers. Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome to the show, both of you.
Yes, welcome to the Saturday morning Salaam Britain show. We're so excited to have you here today, and of course to find out all of this interesting work that you guys are doing. And so let's start with those questions. So let's go to Martin. I know you've been on Islam Channel not that long ago, and many times I think, but tell us a little bit more about your work with Islamic Relief.
Yeah, thank you. It's the tale of two charities here that we're to tell really, because I worked for Islamic Relief for 12 years, and now we're here to talk about the Zamzam Foundation, which, as you've said, is a big charity in Somalia. It's established in 1992. By Somalis to help their own people. So the central government had collapsed. Civil war, famine ensued, and some concerned Somalis wanted to do their best for their own people and save lives. So Zamzam Foundation has been going ever since then for 33 years, and now it's helping, as you've said, over 2 million people every year.
Wow,
what's changed, and this is where charity number 2 comes in, is we represent Zamzam Foundation UK. So Zamzam Foundation in Somalia signed a partnership with a registered charity in the UK, which some of your viewers might have heard of, called Somali Relief and Development Forum. And as a result, we have launched Zamzam Foundation UK. And what that means, which really excites us, that wasn't there before, is that Somali diaspora community in the UK, concerned Muslims, anyone who has a heart for Somalia, can now support these fantastic projects in Somalia through our website, zamzamfoundation.org.uk, and can make a donation very straightforwardly, and we can transfer that across to Somalia to make a positive difference. And that positive difference, this organisation has built it's built 8 hospitals, it's built over 150 schools, it's drilled 160 bore wells, established 5,000 wells in those 33 years. So this is an organisation that you can really trust to do big things alongside the Somali people to make a positive difference.
Exactly. So no doubt a lot of us have a place in our heart for our Somalian brothers and sisters. Now, moving on to Haider. Haider, you are a trustee of the Zamzam Foundation UK. What does this entail? What do you do?
So by UK law, every charity has to have a trustee or a set of trustees who are part of the governance of the charity. Make sure everything is done in a legal way. There's a sense of accountability as well. But personally, what that allows me to do is, being the child of Somali refugees, is to try and fulfill that sense, that feeling that I want to give back to my ancestral homeland. And obviously, our Islamic duty and desire to be as close as possible to Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, when he's describing the people who are rewarded. Amongst the characteristics of them is وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. And for his love, that they give food and by extrapolation all sorts of charity to the needy, to the children, to the yatim, to the orphans, and to the captives as well. And then he goes on to describe the rewards that they get. So who would want to miss out on that potential reward, especially in this month?
Absolutely. But also because water, is a source of life, and anything that involves that kind of work or that kind of charity, it's going to be very, very highly rewarded. But so Martin, could you tell us a little bit more about some of the challenges that the Somali people would be facing, and how that's been tackled in the last 3 decades of this work?
Yeah, absolutely. I think all of us who are charitably minded, whether it's our sadaqah or our zakat, in Ramadan in particular, we feel many different pulls from different countries, different communities. The situation in Sudan, in Gaza, in Yemen is absolutely terrible. But we want to focus on Somalia as well, and say whatever else you're supporting, if you can spare something for Somalia, it's a country that really deserves your support.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it's facing
100%.
A triple whammy of challenges. And I want to draw your attention to 3 league tables that you wouldn't want to be near the top of. No. So Somalia is top of the Fragile States Index, which means it's the country in the world that faces the most challenges because of conflict. It's in the top 10 poorest countries in the world. It's in the top 10 countries most affected by climate change. Now, what that means for people on the ground is 3 million children are out of school, 1.5 million children are suffering from malnutrition. You've got families torn apart by the conflict. So in the displaced people's camps, you've got women and children alone. About 3/4 of the population of those camps are women and children. Mm-hmm. Families have been separated. A lot of the community rely on farming for their income, and yet climate change means that there are successive droughts. They can't rely on farming anymore, so many of them have lost cattle, they've lost land, and they have to start again. So what Zamzam is doing is responding to all of these challenges. So we provide the kind of emergency aid that a lot of charities provide, so food, water, shelter, to keep people alive when they're driven from their homes. But we're also thinking long term. So what's the way out of poverty for some of these communities? Education is massive. If you can't get an education, you're going to be stuck in this cycle of poverty. So we build schools, we train teachers, we enable orphaned children to go to school in Zamzam schools. We're building big water projects, because that's not only about water to keep people alive, it's also about water for their animals, it's about water for their crops, and it's about avoiding waterborne diseases. The organisation also works on peace building. So in a country so affected by climate change, lots of communities are involved in conflict over resources that are very scarce, like pasture, like water. And what we do is we bring those communities together to talk about the challenges they have in common, rather than focusing on their differences, and then to build the local infrastructure that they need together to overcome those challenges. So it really is an organisation that does lots of fantastic work that, in a joined-up way, is helping people really from the very north, from Somaliland and Puntland, all the way down to Lower Juba and all the areas in between. And I think it's important to say this isn't just about choose the biggest charity in Somalia over some of the others that you normally support. Try if you can to support both, because we're working together. So 2 weeks ago, we did a big food distribution in Mogadishu in partnership with Islamic Relief, and we provided food packs for 500 families. And there's a lot of that kind of partnership working going on, and we all need to work together in Ramadan, but all the year round.
The thing, I think the problem here is because, when you look at the people go with the big charities because they think maybe there's more established and relationships a bit more secure, and so that's probably why. So with the smaller charities, I have found that they do get to do a lot more on the ground and have more of a relationship with the local people in the community. So that is 100%, you're absolutely right. And we should, as you know, when we are giving our sadaqah and our zakat and our donations, we should look into these things and look
Absolutely.
at the more.
The projects that you've just discussed, Martin, it seems to be all encompassing. So you're working with children, you are working with keeping the peace as well. So really good to hear from you.